NTIA is the next item, and we recently had, they're doing outreach. There is tons of information that is flowing from all departments, and lots of different state and federal agencies are involved in the broadband effort. But the National Telecommunication and Information Administration is doing a campaign of outreach to counties and interested parties about their programs. And they provided this slide deck at one of our meetings that, so the SB 156, much of the SB 156 funds really is coming through NTIA. And so that is included, including the local agency technical assistance that we're talking about, and the last mile funds are the federal funding, federal funds here. And Mendocino County has been awarded as much as $57 million for last mile projects in Mendocino County. But I think that the impetus of the outreach from NTIA is to talk about the broadband equity and access and deployment, another $42 billion nationally, that rule-making processes are proceeding around. And so when I talked about a 10-year plan, but showed you a 6-year graph, the BEAD money is the trailing 2 years. I mean, we can expect to have more funds available once the SB 156 funds are spent. And so, I mean, this mainly recaps the SB 156. The next slide are some of the additional programs and their timelines for the BEAD program. And their eligible uses are for planning of deployment of internet, upgrading internet, installing internet in multi-tenant buildings, and implementing adoption and digital equity programs. So there is a rulemaking process about the adoption programs. And I mean, they are anticipating developing those programs over the next 4 to 5 years, as denoted in the timeline. And continuing on the same, let's see, there are more specifics about the eligible uses. The digital literacy programs, I mean, I think there will be a development of digital literacy programs, and Mendocino County would have the opportunity to apply, perhaps through libraries or community colleges. So there will be additional funds made available in due time. And I think that the mapping, the FCC has recently come out with new maps that show our percentage of unserved households, and how much money we can receive through the BEAD program is dependent on the accuracy of those maps and how many unserved households we have. The next and really final slide. Go ahead. Any questions about this? Because it is.
Jeff, does that, on that new map, which I did look at, it sounds like, it sort of looks like everybody's served, because SpaceX is above us all, but that's not true for the usual family. Does that, when they talk about unserved, is there a way to find out really how many are unserved? I mean, we have some data that we've taken in, but.
Yeah, we have been scrambling to better understand the maps, and in the collaboration with the consortium in a meeting earlier this morning, we got a little more clarity. The maps do show, the new FCC fabric maps show that Mendocino County is covered at 25 megabits per second up and 3 megabits per second down at 98% coverage.
Yeah.
And it also makes the claim that we are 80% covered at 120.
Ooh.
And it turns out that if you dial in, you can go inside of the program and make different selections. If you eliminate satellite-based service, or select, I should say, wired services only, then it shows a more accurate map of where we are served and unserved. And I think that when it comes to making application to the BEAD money, it will be that wired households will be ineligible, but unwired households will remain eligible, even if one of the satellite providers is making the claim that they provide, that they're servicing 98% of Mendocino County. Does that answer your question, or would anyone else care to?
For anyone who hasn't seen the FCC map, the new maps, I did link it within the chat, so you can go in. Of course, like Jeff had referenced, the use of filters is important to get a much more realistic view of what our infrastructure looks like here, because on the front, it looks, like you mentioned, Katie, that we've got a 98.7% coverage, and everyone's served and everything's fine. But paring that down and filtering into either fiber, which you see we have nothing, and or copper or cable, you get a much more realistic picture.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll try that next time.
And so next on the slide deck would be the Affordable Connectivity Program. And we're being encouraged to promote this while, and I've attended numerous seminars on it. I think that Mendocino County is still lagging at perhaps 14 or 15% of our eligible population are taking advantage of the $30 discount that they can receive for their internet connection if they meet the criteria of under 200% of the federal poverty guidelines. So the links on this page will bring you to maps that show where there is coverage, or what percentage each county has attained. And I should get this in the chat so you can all access that. But from attending the seminars that I have attended, it seems as though they are setting up for a much larger population than Mendocino County. That is to say that it seems like their method of tracking who is signing up is beyond our technical needs. But I will do further research. More or less, we need to publicize the availability of this stipend for broadband, because it could save the county, residents of the county, millions of dollars annually. I see Katie has her hand raised.
Sorry to keep asking questions, but I've signed myself up for a listserv called NDIA, and I could put that in the chat maybe if I could figure out how. But anyway, I've been following it's about digital and diversity and bringing people into the internet, and it seems to be very difficult to sign up for ACP. And if we want to popularize it, we need to know which providers make it easy and which providers make it impossible. And apparently the big guys are not really into this program. And we don't know which little ones. It's very hard to ask somebody if they've ever done one of these. You call up one of the smaller providers and they sound like you never heard of it. So right. If we're going to publicize it, which we thought would be a very good idea, we need to know who will take it and how it works. And it's apparently really difficult to do so. A lot of people are complaining about it. So I don't know what the solution is. Maybe right. Somebody else has tried it.
I have not tried it, but I take your point. I think that the larger incumbents make it difficult, and the smaller WISPs and ISPs don't want to participate because it's too much it's too difficult to to meet their specifications and do their reporting requirements, meet their reporting requirements. I have kept a list of the ISPs in Mendocino County that say that they're participating, but I haven't tested how difficult it is to comply. And it is a matter of, I do believe that we'll never get to the percentage of participants in our county that other counties that are more populated will reach, because we are served by smaller ISPs that are not sophisticated. I don't want to characterize them as unsophisticated, but they don't have the bandwidth, pardon the pun, to try to comply with the federal requirements for reporting and provide the discount. It's not an incentive for them to participate.